So, it's my 100th video today, and I've gotta say, I've gone through some ups and downs, some highs, some lows, highs again. However, now I go to one of my lowest lows ever. The film that has utterly defeated me. Or at least one of them. Norm of the North.
It's evil.
To date, Norm of the North is the worst animated film I have ever seen. For those who don't know, it's a 2016 animated film by the company that made Care Bears. It is about a polar bear voiced by Rob Schneider and had a budget of exactly $18 million. For those who don't know, that's extremely low. Great. It's actually not an accident that I saw this. You see, I was browsing Netflix, maybe looking at good animated films, not Minions, and I noticed Norm of the North there. It has a reputation, shall we say. Anyway, I settled on Chicken Run, very good film, not many people know about it. But there was just one issue. I have a certain policy I follow as a movie reviewer, which is I try to watch as many good films as I do bad films. And I knew that there was a very bad one on Netflix. I almost do it as a quality control. I couldn't resist it, okay? So I sat down one Sunday night, and it took me 4 separate viewings to get through. I think I may have slept at one point. Cried myself to sleep as well. Here's why Norm of the North sucks. Number 1, Norm. Rob Schneider thinks he's hot stuff. He isn't. He isn't funny at all. He's in some really bad films. He's actually friends with Adam Sandler, and then he did this. His performance is so good, that I half thought he had bipolar disorder, as in no lines really had any emotional weight to them. They all sounded the same, and sometimes they even sounded like he was attempting to almost contradict the tone of voice he has. It's a really bizarre thing. But hey, enough of criticizing Rob Schneider. Here's his character. He's like a prince of the polar bears in the Arctic. He's nice to seals, and he's driven by... Wait. His motivation is No, he's not interested in anything. He's likable because... Nah. Okay, so he kind of just wants to help things, even though he has no reason to. He has no motivation. Yay. Oh yeah, and he uses a freaking iPod to twerk to pop music for himself and for tourists. How did he learn that? Where'd he get modern technology from? Like, seriously, how? How does he even know what twerking is? iPods don't show you that. Where does he even get this stuff? It just... my brain hurts. Number 2, The Baddie. Do you know what this film shares in common with The Lorax? Yes, they're both awful animated films. And other than them being shallow, forgettable garbage, Norm of the North seem to have gone to the Lorax school of animated villains. A thin guy in a suit who's always violent. They're motivated by money, and they want money and nothing else. They don't like the environment at all. Like, how hard is it just to make him similar yet different? So it's almost a subversion of these expectations, but it's not. He doesn't do anything really remotely threatening, so they're certainly not going for the threat factor. And I wouldn't really say he's that funny either. They also do this really bizarre animation technique with him, where it's only used with 1 other or 3 other characters. Yeah, those freaking lemming things. It's just so bizarre that they do that with the main villain, the one we're meant to be intimidated by, and no one else. And constantly, you're questioning his threat, his motivation. His guards are worse than stormtroopers, and his tone flops everywhere. Nothing is consistent with the villain. Yet again, nothing's consistent with the film. Not even whether he likes some of the characters or not. He just flip-flops around the place. He's a comic relief villain who they think you know, they think that him being comic relief is an excuse to not do anything with his character. He never has goals, threats, or anything, and because he's not funny, he's just annoying. I don't really know how the characters could be more blank in this film. They got Bill Nye from Harry Potter, they got Michael McElhatton from Game of Thrones, and James Corden. Oh, of course he's in it, clearly the Emoji Movie wasn't enough. Anyway, all the polar bears are either stock characters, or they're unnecessarily grouchy, meaning that there's no levity from the North Pole. So basically we can just forget that whole first half hour. And there's this bird, sage character, cameo exposition bird. I don't really think he's a friend to Norm, but I don't really see him holding any teachings or history with Norm. So he's kind of just there. And then I was going to talk about Girl Polar Bear, but she's in about 3 shots, and 2 of them are the same one. Then in New York, there's Generic Mother. Her motivation and character consistently flop all over the place, and are very generic. She's basically deaf as well.
Shake it up! Hit Mr. Green where it hurts. His wallet.
Where do you think the investors are right now?
Okay, how the hell did she not hear that? Then there's Grandpa. At least they establish a connection between him and North. It's pretty predictable though. Grandpa doesn't have much of a character either, but I'll give him respect because there's something actually going on there, like a relationship. Then there's the little girl. Now she, as a character, insults me nearly as much as the villain does. She's not there to be of use. She's not there of interest. She's there to be the child audience connection character. That's right, relatable to children. Because this film is for kids, and that means anything you do can be justified by the fact it's a kids' film. Although I think the kids watching this film would have to be pretty stupid not to see through this. Anyway, so audience connection child character. Her relationship with Norm is so weird and rushed, it kind of confuses me. Somehow, she's the only person in the entirety of New York who knows that he's a real bear, and she finds out on their very first meeting. She's meant to be the smartest person ever, but one thing that griped me was how her schooling worked. Like, if she was a young adult going into college or a kid going into high school, it would make sense, but no. Basically, hold on, here's the quote.
Olympia's just not really challenged at her current school.
You hear that? She doesn't feel very challenged. Other than that, it's conveniently written in to give motivation to Generic Mum. But why does the boss of the housing company from New York in Antarctica matter in getting this academically successful girl into her school? And no, it's not in terms of funding, because otherwise they'd just simply establish that. And by the looks of things, it doesn't even seem to be a private school in any way. They're just relying on him to let her in. And other things, Norm and her relationship, they start out as complete strangers, then in their second meeting, they become best friends. And everyone else is basically a characterless caricature. Also, I swear this is a young girl speaking here.
How was school today?
Scintillating as usual.
Hilarious! Number 4, design and animation. Kill me. Look, I think Illumination Animation probably takes the cake for worst animated design, but this is a bit of a stretch. I mean, applying the same Pixar formula, what about any of the designs actually tell you anything about the character? In fact, it makes some characters look probably stupid or just boring, and it's probably not even intentional. As you can see, the whole movie also is very poorly detailed, where it kind of just uses the same animation tricks, but you don't notice it because it's happening in the background. No, everything's just really just not detailed, and they purposely just blur it out so you don't notice this. They're also really lazy so that they don't show reaction shots of people and just act like these characters are idiots. I mean, I've seen better animation on YouTube. In fact, I think this film, I can't really tell why it looks this way. It's either due to laziness or them just having a lack of budget. In my opinion, it looks so bad that it probably wouldn't even be good enough for TV in the 1990s. They also use the same corridors, streets, offices, restaurants, and that's about it. Which makes the film very visually bland. Nothing is original about it in any visual way. I would say something about cinematography or direction, but that's kind of hard to apply to animated films. Yeah, there's kind of just no point in referencing it. I mean, I probably could make better animation if I tried, and I've never animated anything in my life. That is how bad this film is. Messages? So, as you know, a lot of children, gullible children, will be watching this. Yeah, and this film has the most shallow messages possible. As in, don't be a meanie, don't hurt the environment. Why? I don't really know. I don't think it ever sets that up. I don't know. I think the writers forgot to add that in on the Sunday night they wrote that script. Oh look, the two of them are related. But again, it's just so bland and obvious and repetitive with its messages. You know, it drives me insane that it feels like it's going way too far into thinking it is helping children. But because of that, it's not coming across as smart, it's becoming stupid, really. And that would be one point that the film has for existing. You know, just to care for the Arctic. But instead, it's just abysmal in execution. Number 6. Terrible writing. The writing of this film can be classified into 3 problems: dialogue, pacing, and consistency. For starters, dialogue, I don't have much to say because I can't remember any of it. But a lot of it is delivered pretty badly by the voice actors. I don't think it's their fault. I think it's the sort of thing you can't deliver properly. And it normally comes off as annoying. And because it's forgettable, believe it or not, it's a point against it. I think word generators are less generic, and unoriginal, and unstylized, yet they're as boring as this evil thing. Consistency requires a little time to explain. Basically, it's, does the story make sense, and does it always stay true to what it sets itself up to be? Okay. So there's a mother character in the film, and she always changes her ideas on Norm, her boss, and her daughter. That leads things to be confusing, and a big problem with consistency is if you're confused. And surprisingly, it's more confusing to little children. The people of New York, in general, are just presented as gullible. Probably true, most people in New York probably are gullible. Also, no one is really given a motive for anything. Like, the people of New York still need a character, because them just blindly following whatever Norm says, they still need something. You know, some reason to blindly say, oh yeah, let's destroy the Arctic. Yeah. And also, do they actually know if Norm's real or not? Again, confusion. I don't understand how this stuff works. Wait. I worked out why they're not bothered to give any motives to the people of New York, because they can't be bothered to animate more people. I really don't want to watch this film ever again. I'd probably notice even more flaws with it. In fact, having to watch parts of this again just for the review has put me very close to jumping off a bridge. Hey. And then there's pacing. That's pretty easy to explain. There's 3 acts, beginning, middle, and end. Is it boring? Is it not? Is it entertaining? Is it not? I'd say Norm of the North sort of has pacing. You know, Act 1 is in the Arctic. Act 2 is city and Act 3 is climax. But it kind of misunderstands what acts should be. So Act 1 is the beginning of the quest, in this case, but instead they just make it entirely expositional setup at that. Then Act 2, again, is just more expositional setup and bad humour, and then by the time we get to the third act, they go for the Michael Bay approach, which is to make the entire third act, I'm talking about 45 minutes, the climax of the film. Obviously it's not that bad because this isn't anywhere near the length of a Transformers film. But you see, there's him freeing himself, then there's him rescuing his granddad, then him hijacking a boat, then sabotaging the boat, then swimming a bit, then drowning a bit, then they're all fine. There's never any stakes in this. It's just all set up, and it's not enjoyable. Imagine Rogue One, but the third act doesn't pay things off properly, and the first two acts don't have anything nearly entertaining aesthetically. Yeah, just imagine a bad film, basically. So yeah, North of the North is boring and forgettable in its setup. Sometimes you forget the setup in the first place, and even if you do, it doesn't really pay off. Like, what is the point of him having a giant polar bear in a cage, for God's sake? Nothing the villain does pays off, come to think of it. Nothing Norm does pays off. Norm talks to a guy, and somehow this guy just leaks information into Times Square TVs, and then the villain falls down a sewer grate. Why is that how they conclude his storyline? Or Mum and the Daughter, they never really concluded that either. In fact, nothing really is concluded. Like, no one learns anything. No one grows as a character. No one changes morals or ideals or anything. The reason can only be explained by the utter failure that is the Circle. Now, I saw this, and it was so bad it went straight to Netflix after it flopped at cinemas. It's so incompetent that it can't even set up a basic threat or conflict, so it just comes out of the blue, or it just comes across as confusing. Of course, I think this film is far worse than The Circle, but yeah, this film is for kids, right? Yet somehow they kind of just think, oh, well, we can just not have any plot structure at all. And finally, the worst thing ever. Number 7. Humor. Who am I kidding? It's basically insulting to me to refer to this as humor. Not one thing in this film was funny, probably not even to kids. And I swear to God, I didn't laugh once. Now, normally, the type of humor that they use is fart or cartoonish pain. Yeah, we're on that level. They also don't understand how characters shouldn't be every type of comic relief. As in, every single character is comic relief at every single moment. You know, like Norm, he should just be a quippy one-liner guy. He's funny, but he's likable in his humor. You know, there should be some sort of dumb sidekick. And then for the villain, they should only have one small gimmick that makes them funny, but still intimidating as a threat. Instead, no. Every single character has awful, obnoxious humor every second. And I hate that. I think probably the most offensive joke in the film... Wait, no, sorry. The worst joke, the most unfunny, the cringiest joke is Norm twerking to pop music using an MP3 player. Now, I've already explained this and how it doesn't make any sense, but that is the fact that is the level that the humor or comedy or jokes are on for this. Yes. I really don't think I need to explain how much Norm of the North twerking just hurts one's brain. So, here it is. Okay, so now we've all witnessed that, I think I might go into a coma. Now then, the final thing I want to mention in the humour category is these lemmings, these evil things. They're basically less saturated minions, as in they're small, kind of cute, expendable, annoying, come in millions, poorly designed, indistinguishable, not funny, slapstick yet indestructible, and completely unimportant. Take these evil things out of the movie, and I guarantee you nothing would really change. Well, other than 107 words that I've spent on them. Like, they really are only there just to copy minions. That's basically like copying a genocide. Actually, come to think of it, minion genocide would actually be quite satisfying. Anyway, they hold like no levity whatsoever, they hold no plot significance, they're literally comic relief. Wait, they're just comic. Because they're not funny. They're not relief, they're not funny, they're nothing. They're incredibly unfunny, and I just hate them. They're nothing but an unfunny waste of time, like the rest of this film. And yes, this really does end with an awful dance sequence. I mean, what else can I say? While I'm sure the Emoji Movie and other monstrosities may give it a run for its money in the future, Normal the North is the worst animated film I've seen. Or at least while I'm making this video. Well, not even while I'm making it, while I'm writing this video. I mean, I really can't say anything else. Well, 3 pages worth is enough for me to say why I hate this film. And if you can't remember it, then be free to increase my watch time by watching this entire video again. Yeah. But what I worry for from this, however, is the idea that films that are poorly and shallowly made can only be made to entertain babies. Now, animated films try to do this, but none try to do it as badly as Normal the North, where they don't try anything of quality at all. It doesn't even seem like anyone's trying. It's just poorly and shallowly made, so that children can see it, they'll hate it, but it will still make double the amount of money because you're paying for parents and children. And bearing in mind, these children haven't developed opinions, tastes, critical ability, nothing. I think I've cracked the code. This film is simply a paycheck film. Rob Schneider wants a paycheck, the director wants a paycheck, the writers want a paycheck, the studio wants a paycheck. They made nearly double their money back off this as well. It technically is a bomb, but it still made decent money for its incredibly low budget. It sickens me, it really does. The laziness or incompetence of everyone involved is just weird. How can a film like this get such poor design, animation, acting, writing, pacing, and jokes? How can that get greenlit? Just don't see this film, unless there's something like Netflix or Amazon Prime that you regularly use. So you can basically watch the film for free and not give any money directly to Splash Entertainment or Lionsgate. This film came out the same year that Zootopia, Moana, Kung Fu Panda 3 and Finding Dory all came out. They're infinitely better as well. All of them have interesting characters, and design and plotting. Heck, most of them have deeper meaning. Normal the North tried to have those and fell flat on its furry face, cause guess what? No one cared about making Normal the North, and no one tried. And as a result, no one cared to see it or to like it. And there's over 2,000 words of my painful life typed away. Never ever watch this film. I need sleep. Wow, that was a long ride then. Well done if you stuck along. And just to prove that you did stuck along, type down 3 piggy lemmings. I know it doesn't make any sense, I just want to prove that you in fact did watch this video all the way through. I mean, I've only got 27 subs, but still. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Check out my gaming channel, MrChicken167, and also check out my Twitter at MrChicken4321. And if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. And it's always appreciated as well, especially when you're making videos that take this long to make. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye! Oh, and yeah, this video doesn't have anything to do with Halloween at all.